Okay, this is Robert Brune here with Gary Mayer, painter here from Margaretville, New York. So, we were just talking and you were telling me about Baltimore. You went to school there?
Yeah, I went to Maryland Institute College of Art, and I studied under Grace Hardigan, who was like an abstract expressionist. Quite a powerful personality and character. But it was also very nice because I went to Washington, D.C. to see various shows there. They have so many great museums. And one show in particular was the Albert Pinkham Writer Show, which I went to a couple of times there. And then it was in Brooklyn too, so I got to see it there. It was one of the best shows I ever saw. And it had a big influence on me. These kind of nice guys here that I'm doing in these paintings are definitely influenced by that.
So this is your studio, you were saying?
Yeah, I live in I have a studio in like a little barn, maybe 1,000 square feet. And it's really out there in Bovina, like, on a county road, but there's very little around it. And, most of my life was spent in Detroit and Brooklyn and being like really nothing around. It's kind of stunning and just that vast amount of space has had a little effect on my work, because when you look at some of these other works, there's a lot of complexity and not as much space. They're like kind of maybe almost like a paranoid kind of space to them, like lots of things piled upon each other. But the newer ones are a little more open. So.
I was curious about this one here.
Right. I did, when I was younger, I did a bunch of paintings, kind of reverent takes on religious paintings. Like I did one show called Saints, where they were very, like Saint Sebastian, various saints, in a pretty reverent way. But in any case, I started doing things with angels too. And then I kind of like in Giotto and a few other early Renaissance masters, they have, rather than wings, they have angels buried in clouds. And this painting is really kind of about maybe souls or people like floating around in the ether kind of. And don't ask me why I thought of that, but I came up with that.
So I saw this and saw you were from Detroit. I was hoping you were going to tell me, oh, it's Iggy Pop and the
I love Iggy Pop. I tell you that I've seen him play like at least 5 or 6 times. He's great. And definitely, those first 3 albums of the Stooges, very big influence on me. I don't know if it comes out in my painting, but that just.
I think it does.
And maybe, the energy of it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really into that and punk rock. And there was a club in Detroit called Bookies. It was like the only punk rock club there. And I saw so many acts, like really great acts. Very small place, amazing.
Like what other bands?
I saw John Cale from the Velvet Underground. I saw the Dead Boys. I saw the Ramones. I saw the Clash in a couple other places. I saw Iggy there. I saw Gang of Four, which was this English band. It was and I had never heard of them. And I just walked in there, and it was me and like 10 other people. It was an amazing concert.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you tell the irreverent style from that era of music.
From music and also from painting. I mean, definitely influenced by the abstract expressionists, de Kooning and people like that, and Gustin, and also the German expressionists. And James Ensor is a really big influence on me. He did the famous entry of Christ into Brussels. I made a gigantic painting that I showed here. It's like 24 feet. That is people crossing from Manhattan into Brooklyn. It's called the entry into Brooklyn. And it has, rather than just Jesus, it has all sorts, it has Krishna and Moses and, and various gods of various religions. And, the whole pantheon, all the, I don't know how many faces are in there, but there are a lot.
Cool. So let's talk about this one. Because when I first walked in, I was just like,
Well, it's amazing that you identified that. It was really striking to me, but I've done maybe, I did this painting, not this painting, but the first of this series of like dying sunflowers. And I was working on this construction job, and we went up this road every day, and it was, you know, bleak in the winter, and we were freezing our ass off doing this job. And there was these sunflowers that were like bent over completely and looked like they were weeping or something. And I thought it really summed up like the way the winter kind of is up here, you know, the way it twists people or whatever.
yeah, I knew it. Right next to Titan Drilling,
Yeah,
Route 38, I immediately.
I've done like, I don't know how many paintings, maybe 10, but you know, more, you know, a lot of drawings too. I go back to it a lot. It's very expressive.
So tell me about the cow, because this one is my favorite. I mean, the color.
Well, I live, like I said, out on what's called Pink Street, which is Route 5 in Bovina, and maybe 500 feet up the road is a big giant pasture with cows, and this has a weird connection to Detroit. A friend of mine who spent his summers on a farm working, you know, with animals and stuff, and we started talking, and he said he was painting a cow, and I said, well, we should have a cow show and invite a bunch of artists to paint cows. And we did, and it was a show in Detroit, and I made this piece for them.
Cool. So, my mother went to Parsons, and one of her semesters was color theory, and how colors interact with each other.
Right.
So, do you have a process on how you
It's
choose
pretty
colors?
much gut, but I try to put colors under colors, so there's like little bits of color popping up, and that can make a color like really vibrate more than it would if it was just flat on a canvas. Like, I mean, you can see here underneath, these pinks are like traces of blue because there's a blue underneath it. It makes it vibrate more, to me, and you know, gives it a richness. A painter that I really admire that also uses black lines and colors like this is this painter, German painter Max Beckmann, and he does that a lot in his later paintings. And I try to make sure there's that kind of richness. Like the color isn't just pink; there's more to it than that. So.
Right. So, have you seen the movie Sunlit Night?
Sunlit Night?
Yeah, it's a new movie that came out, I think, last year or something, and it's been on Showtime.
Really?
And highly recommend it because, and that's what's really got me reinterested in color again, because he paints barns, and the story is actually about some young girl from New York City, and she winds up being homeless, and she takes an apprenticeship in the way outer banks of Norway, way north, helping this famous artist paint the barn. And 3/4 through the movie, they
You
develop
mean
a
he's
relationship.
painting the barn, or
He's painting the barn in like a graffiti sort of
Oh, I see.
abstract.
So he's making an art
and it's
out of it.
bright yellow
Right.
shades, and
Right.
and he explains to her that the way the colors interact with each other, it brings the piece to life.
Right.
So, yeah, if you see that, you know,
Yeah,
you see
I will.
that on cable.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's called Sunlit what?
Sunlit Night.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's.
This is a Norwegian film, or?
I think it's an American film, but it's, you know, it's filmed in both Brooklyn and in way north island, way north island of Norway.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool.
It's really good.
There's this writer, Halldór Laxness, who's a Icelandic writer, and he often writes about all these like isolated crazy souls in Iceland, like on some farm where it's like there's like 2 people in like, you know, however many square miles, and just very kind of like a little bit like a Bruegel painting, like
You want to sit down?
they're super poor, but there's all this like funny, like crazy stuff going on to try to somehow survive or make life more palatable. It's pretty interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I was standing over here and I could. This looks like 3D. It's amazing. I mean, the clouds here. You did an incredible job on that.
Well, I you know, the one thing about being out there is, you know, in Detroit or Brooklyn or wherever, you know, the sky is kind of an afterthought. But when you're like on this big plain, and the mountains and stuff, the sky is like amazing and like makes everything else very inconsequential. So
Yeah.
I was trying to, you know, express that a little bit.
You did a great job with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Bill Lynch is gonna do a documentary.
Yeah, he's doing a documentary on my work and I guess me too. And
Are you nervous at all?
what's that?
Are you nervous?
About the documentary?
Yeah.
I'm not nervous about my work, but I don't know how interesting I am. You know, there's a decent amount of time me talking about art and about my process and, you know, whatever. And I mean, it's interesting to me, but I'm not sure that it really communicates. It's interesting to anybody else. But we'll see. I don't know. Anyways, he's a very energetic guy, and I think it'll be quite interesting. You know, what he's doing is good. He showed me footage of it, you know, little excerpts, and it looks good.
Oh, good.
Visually, it looks really good.
How far into it are you?
He shot like 6 hours of film, so he's gonna bring that down to maybe 25 minutes, I guess, something like that.
That's great.
And he went over to. I show a lot in this place in Kingston called Greenkill, on Greenkill Avenue, and there's this fellow that runs this like alternate space, you know, art space, and he does music stuff and poetry stuff too. But I've known him forever. He allowed me to make this. I put together some shows, like theme shows. I did the Hell Show, and it's various people who did things regarding hell, including myself. And he allowed me to do the Dante Inferno bathroom. So I have all, I think it's 9 levels? Whatever it is, I have all the levels of hell in this bathroom.
Oh, tell me you got pictures of it.
Oh, it's there permanent. It's been there for a couple of years. You can see it if you want to go see it. Anyways, he also found a light bulb that projects sound, so that at least during the opening, when you went in there, I think it was a Stockhausen composition called Lucifer, and so you'd go in the bathroom. First of all, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" But secondly, all of a sudden the sound would come on. So I think it was kind of entertaining.
And what's the name of the place again?
It's called Greenkill. It's on Greenkill Avenue.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a very cool space.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
You should check it out for sure.
Yeah. So you looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah,
opening.
definitely. You know, I have this show here, and also I started a gallery called Art Up, which is like a block away by the Binnakill restaurant in Binnakill Square. And we're having a group show there called Carnival, which is about summer-themed stuff. I have 2 partners, and one of them was actually in the circus at some point in her life. Anyways, there's some stuff based on that, and you know, I did a giant painting of fireworks. And it's
When does that start?
It opens tomorrow too.
Oh, tomorrow.
So he's going to take some footage too there, Bill.
Okay. So how are you gonna manage both?
Well, this one's 3 to 6, the other one's 5 to 7. So I'll concentrate time here initially and then go over there.
Okay.
It's literally, you know, taking 2 minutes a while.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Gary, this is amazing.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.